Well, I really wanted to visit the walk. Like I said, because it is a 100% online university, and I was very curious to see how that really worked. Uh, like I said, on the didactical issues, for instance. But another reason for me why I wanted to come also to the IM3, because that was a collaboration project, is the highly interdisciplinary character. And this is where I learned a lot as well, because I had been used to working a long time in a very small specific research field, which is great for going in deep into the subject matter. But now I felt I wanted to look around a bit more, a bit broader, and this is what I have been able to do a lot. There have been many research seminars at the IM3, for instance, many other visiting professors. And yeah, I've really enjoyed that because I think it's crucial if you want to be innovative in your research field to also look to other disciplines, because you can, you know, it's just very smart way to do it, because you can copy things that work in other fields, and very productive thing. I think it takes a lot of extra time and effort, because you need to learn each other's language first, so you have to take it into account. But yeah, by the way the WOC organized it with a lot of seminars, it's a great way to do it, I think, because you can learn first about each other's world, and then you can take that as a start to talk together. So yeah, it's never easy, but I think it's worth the effort. My research field is CSCL, Computer Supported Collaborative Learning, which is kind of a smaller field within the general field of e-learning, so it's very specific. And I worked very fruitfully on that subject with the Department of Psychopedagogia. And for me it was very interesting to see how they work there in practice a lot with CSCL, with online learning. And my own specialty within CSCL is the field of online discussions, asynchronous discussions. And well, here it's a substantial part of all education that's being given, all courses. For a large part, they depend on online discussions and the fora as they are used in the virtual campus. So it was great for me to see how they do it here, and it matched exactly my own interests, because to me it's not even the technological side which is most interesting and offers the most challenges, but it's the didactical part. The questions about, as a teacher, what tasks do you give your students exactly? How do you guide it? How do you evaluate it? I think these are of utmost importance, and there's still many things to find out on this part. And with them I could work on this, and they have a lot of experience as well with it, so I worked with teachers as well and on just developing these didactical aspects further. Regarding the research that we did together with the department is focused more on tool comparisons, as this is also the research that I had been doing before. And it's very interesting. I mean, we are still only beginning to process and analyze all our data, but yeah, there seem interesting results. And let me see, what can I say? We are investigating an interesting question. Maybe it's still controversial in the field of CSCL, whether social aspects of communication, of collaboration, are necessary for effective collaboration to take place. So we have been comparing two kinds of ICT environments. One which is more cognitively oriented to the task, which is the annotation tool that I brought with me, and the normal forum in the virtual campus, which naturally has a bit more of the social and regulative communication. And we are interested in finding out, which one offers the best context for learning. And we didn't find big differences in learning results, which is always very difficult. But so it might be the case that both are important, or that both serve a certain purpose, maybe each for a different kind of tasks or goals, learning goals. So there is a lot still to find out about this topic, but I think it's an interesting pista to continue on. Well, if you ask me about what does it take for online assignments to be effective, of course there's a lot to talk about. I've written a paper about exactly this question as a follow-up of a meeting I had again at the Department of Psychopedagogy, which is already 10 pages long. But I think there are three basic elements that's the social presence I was talking about, and also the cognitive presence to get the actual learning gains regarding the subject matter, and also thirdly the teaching presence. This is a known theory, and I think all three parts are important, especially if you have a purely online education. Then the social aspect is very important as well, because it's always a prerequisite for collaboration. So I think you should look at all of those three things. And if you are trying to facilitate online learning processes, there's always one limiting factor at that particular context, in that particular instance. So it depends on what case you are looking at. Where is at that moment the limiting factor? Like you know, they sometimes call this the model of the water barrel, collecting rainwater. And if one of the wooden spiles is shorter than the other ones, that is limiting the level of the water. So in that way you always have to look. In this case, do we have maybe enough social common ground? Community is essential. Then we can move on to get more of the cognitive presence maybe. But like I said, the didactics, the teaching presence is also a prerequisite. So it's hard to give one answer to the question, what can make online discussions or online education work. I think you need to be very sensitive to the needs of students. That's what I always prefer. I think you can never give one formula, but just think, well, what do they need here? And to make sure that every activity you give them is useful for their learning process. I mean, I think that's also essential in keeping their motivation up. So you never want to force them to do anything which may have the backfiring results if it's not useful for them, because students always know very well what is useful for them to learn and what isn't. So one more thing that I have seen here and learned from the walk, and which also very much is in line with how I prefer to give online education myself, is that here it's very structured. And I think you are forced to do this because you have so many students, and you do it in a very effective way, I think. And you are forced that all the materials, all the schedules for the courses, they're all made in advance, because you work with large teams on one certain course. Unlike what I'm used to in the Netherlands, like as a teacher you can kind of think what you do as you go along. The day before your classes, you come up with some ideas. But here you are forced to do it much more structuredly. But I think it's a good thing for students. I think it's good. They know what is expected of them and what can they expect of the teacher in return. So clarity, especially online, is very important. That's what we found during our experiment as well. It was again confirmed. There was a little a little uncertainty between students, and if you don't, as a teacher, react directly to it, to stop it before it spreads, yeah, then there can be kind of a panic and can spread, and it can be killing for the motivation of students. So I think being clear is yeah, it's very important. Well, my impressions here have been very good. I've loved being here for these 10 months, and yeah, what my impression was of the walk is was the first time for me at a 100% online university. So this was new for me, and technology here is very important, more important than I'm used to back in the Netherlands. And this means that you can do a lot of things which I really like. Technology-wise, there's a lot of possibilities, and yeah, I think that's great. You can do a lot. On the other hand, I also took with me and tried to also preach here a little bit that technology is not the only thing, that it's in my field, in e-learning. It's only a means to an end, and it's not the goal in itself. So it was very interesting to see here that to me it felt like people expect a lot from technology as well. Like technology is going to make everything better, and that's something that I'm not really used to. And in Holland we tend more to think like, oh, we have to be careful for what technology will do. And well, I think both things are true. So it was good for me to see it. Here, for instance, there's a lot of big field. I had some colleagues at the IN3 working at maybe more democracy thanks to ICT, more participation of citizens, those kind of things. And yeah, so it was very interesting to see for me. One more thing that I really am taking home with me is a more personal thing, besides all the other things I've mentioned. But working closely with a few colleagues here, like I said, from the Department of Psychopedagogia, has really showed me a glimpse of the value of close teamwork, close collaboration with small teams. I had been used as a PhD student and as a teacher in the Netherlands to work fairly independently and on my own in most times. And I have seen here, well, it can be really productive if you have a small group of people, in this case, or maybe 3 or 4 people, who had been working together on several projects and had been greatly got in tune with each other, you know, developed a way of really working together, which of course both has social element and also the work itself. And yeah, I saw that and I think I like that, and I would like to do that more when I come back as well. So to use the benefits of working closely together, because you, as they say, maybe 1 and 1 is 3, you can really productively use each other's expertise and help. Yeah. Not only content-wise on expertise, but also just on getting things done, stimulating each other, because the people I saw here working, I was amazed by the speed of their productivity, producing articles, even besides working as a teacher. So yeah, I think that was pretty great.